Hello, hello, hello. My name is Minister Dina Allen, and I'm your host for this time of sharing. And today we're going to take just a few minutes to call the name of this time of sharing, Getting to Know Me, which means you, that very special you. And I'm not saying also you, but you. And what we're going to do today is we're going to use a tool called the lifestyle analysis. And that's what this is about. Now, you know we have 9 systems of the body. Some people teach 12 because they take several systems and break them down. In particularly, they take the circulatory system and break it into 2 by calling it circulatory and lymphatic. And some others decide to take the glandular system and break it down, calling it endocrine and exocrine. And some people even do the structural system and break it down and call it instead of musculoskeletal, they'll call it the muscular system or the skeletal system. But either way, there's still 9 systems that are dominant in the body. And every system has a particularly very specific assignment. And when one system does not take care of their responsibilities, the burden inadvertently falls on another system. And that's how we can sometimes even be fooled into thinking that something is going on in one place and it's really not even going on at all. So now, what we want to do is what we had everyone do today is to ask the questions. And when you do a lifestyle analysis, let me say this too. You can have a copy of this sheet by simply sending me a self-addressed stamped envelope. And guess what? I'm not even going to charge you. Just send the self-addressed stamped envelope and I will send you a lifestyle analysis. And you can do your own. And then you can call me and tell me that you want to get started on program. Yeah, there's a method to my madness. Okay. So now, if you look at all of the questions, there are 38 questions. And the first thing you want to know is it a yes or is it a no? And each and every one of the questions should be no, if the body's not in any kind of distress or trouble. So as you look down, each system is categorized. And as I said, if you look at the first question, it says general weakness, tiredness, or fatigue. If that is a yes, it will also require a check to be under the digestive system, the circulatory system, the nervous system, the immune system, and the glandular system. Why? Because those are the 5 systems that are affected when the body feels general weakness, tiredness, or fatigue on any level. Knowing that we can have body fatigue, which is physical, and we can also have mental, emotional fatigue. But any kind of fatigue, any kind of weakness requires a yes. And I'm not saying is it sometimes, is it no time. If it's at all, it's a yes. Okay. Number 2, and ask you about frequent illness. Frequent, the question came up earlier when we were filling these forms out. What is frequent? Frequent says that every time you turn around, something is going on. That's frequent. Today, it's a headache. Tomorrow, your stomach hurts. The next day, your back hurts. All of those are described as illnesses because they should not be going on in your body that's walking in wellness, okay? So anything that's going on can be categorized as a illness if we want to take it to that level. But I'm just saying, is it going on? Is it something that you can just almost have an organ recital every day when you wake up? You click it off. What is not going to work today? And if you have those kinds of mornings, then you check yes under frequent. Number 3, body odor and or bad breath. Isn't it interesting that some people are so accustomed to the odors that come from their bodies until they don't even notice them anymore, and especially the one that comes from the mouth. And what can cause body odor? Things like bad teeth, things like a stomach that's in turmoil, a nervous system, even a colon that's getting troubled. All of these things can contribute to body odor. Foods that are not being digested properly can create dandruff, which is again another outcry of a body that has a smell that is not pleasing to other people and may not be a problem for you. I've had people come in my office, couples, during a consultation, and they have to ask each other, do I have bad breath? They don't even know. Or do they know and just not want to pay attention to it? But either way, we want to know, do you have body odor and or bad breath? Is it yes or is it no? And yes, we're talking about morning breath too. If it's bad in the morning, there should be a reason. It shouldn't be bad in the morning just because you went to bed last night. But people say, oh, my breath is bad because I've been asleep. Yeah, you're burning toxins during the night, but guess what? If the toxins are burning clean because of a good diet, the odor shouldn't be bad in the morning. Another sign, right? Okay, number 4, difficulty in digesting certain food. If we all have the same parts that contribute to digesting our food, why would certain foods give you a problem? There are many, many people that take things to force their body to digest things that the body is telling you clearly it does not want. Number 1 being dairy. Now, I rarely try to take any food from anyone on the first consultation, but one of the things that I do ask my clients to do is to consider how much dairy you're consuming in a day. And especially if you're having any respiratory concerns. That's one of the first things you want to look at is dairy, because it's so difficult for the body to break down and digest it. And the body really gets troubled when we have an excessive amounts of dairy, because it puts a burden on the kidneys as well. So let's look at the dairy and ask ourselves, do we have difficulty digesting food? And if so, is it dairy? Is it beans? Why would we take something to force our body to digest something than listening to the message that is telling you that if there's some difficulty digesting a particular food, there's a reason. Investigate, investigate. Number 5, frequent consumption of red meat. I know some people would rather die than switch. And one of the things they'd rather die than try to live without is steak and barbecue. That's pork, of course. But red meat is red meat, right? Now, they tell you that pork is the other white meat. Where did that come from? Well, I don't know. I think people will accept anything that they want to find a way to leave into their life. So if you believe that pork is the other white meat, then I guess you also believe that dairy is good for everyone. So who am I to challenge your belief system? I'm just telling you, you need to check that out if you believe that. In fact, I might have some swampland that I'm going to say you a little later if you accept those two things. So now the next one is PMS. Yes, women do have PMS. It's very real, and we who are women say that if you've never experienced PMS or any symptoms of menopause like hot flashes, you're not qualified to joke about it. So don't even try it, guys. Yeah, we're having moments. We've had moments, and if we're having one, guess what? Pray for us. Don't say things that are inappropriate and make it worse. It's not a joke. And if you ever live through those moments of PMS or a hot flash, you will find out it's not a joke. So it's not a laughing matter. Have a little empathy, okay? And number 7, frequent use of antibiotics. Anti says against something, doesn't it? So yes, the antibiotic is against something that's going on in a negative way in your body. But the negative thing about taking antibiotics is it takes everything with it, the good and the not so good. So my suggestion is if you're taking an antibiotic for whatever reason, and I'm not the one to tell you not to take it, then please do your body a favor, and that's taking a probiotic along with it. Because I have been told that every 10-day series of an antibiotic, you will be required to take a probiotic for 9 months to repopulate. That's what I said, repopulate your gut, where the biggest part of your immune system lives and attempts to thrive. Guess what else antibiotics have been known to do? They also open you up to future invasions of infections and things of that nature. So protect yourself. If you want the good results that come from using an antibiotic, then take hold to the good things that come from making it compatible by putting the probiotic into your life at the same time. Alrighty. The next one is alcohol consumption. Well, how interesting is that? People say, oh, I never drink. But guess what? One of their favorite things to do is have sugar. And what is sugar but liquid alcohol? Yeah, it burns down the same way. Everything burns down to a kind of sugar, but alcohol is basically liquid sugar. So you may not be turning the bottle up or filling up the shot glass, but if you're consuming a lot of sugar, just about the same thing. And that's how people, especially Christian community people, they'll say, I have cirrhosis of the liver. How could I get that? I never drink alcohol. Well, guess what? How much sugar are you consuming on a daily basis? How much soda do you drink with an average of 12 teaspoons of sugar in every bottle? Think about that. They sneak sugar in almost everything because they want to hook you. Yep, sugar is a hook. So just look at the sugar consumption before you say, no, I don't have alcohol. And number 9, wheezing and AM mucus. Do you know that every morning you have a way of testing your body to find out what's going on with your mucus? Because if the body's mucus changes, it's telling you that something has changed in your body. It's a real early signal. All you have to do is take your 2 little fingers, place them in your nose every morning, and rub that mucus together. Is it sticky and tacky? Because once it gets sticky and tacky, something is changing in your mucosal fluid. So now, guess what? This is the time that you need to pay attention, because mucus progresses to trouble. It starts off sticky and tacky, and then it will get cloudy. It goes from cloudy to white. It goes from white to yellow, yellow to green. And by the time it gets there, trouble is definitely on the horizon, if not already there. And one of the greatest promoters of sticky, tacky mucus is sugar and dairy. So am I telling you to watch the sugar? Watch the dairy? Duh, I think I did. All righty. How about this? The next one says food allergy. Oh, and wheezing. When you are wheezing, do you know how much trouble is already into your lungs? So don't take that as something, oh, it'll pass. No, it probably won't, because sometimes wheezing could be a sign of other things that are starting to move through the body in a negative way, and one of them could be something associated with the upper respiratory system, and it also could be something associated with oncoming of things like asthma. So pay attention. The reason I'm talking about all of these signs is because the medical world wants us to believe that when the body causes a sign to come forward, that it is telling you that it's trying to get sick. How about looking at the sign, they call it a symptom, but how about looking at it as a sign, as a cry for help? The body is asking you, help me not get sick. I'm sending you the signs. I'm asking for your help. Don't ignore, and don't take for granted that every sign is a insufficiency or a deficiency of a drug, because that's not necessarily the truth. Now, not a stupid woman. I know there are times we have to do drugs to get us over some troubled water. But no, the longer you keep drugs in your life, the more possibility of insidious side effects. Because first it invades your tissue, then it goes into your cells, and then guess what? The body is getting in big trouble. So know that anytime the body gives you a sign, don't try to put it asleep. Pay attention. Investigate. Don't be so quick to medicate. Okay? Now, how about food allergies and chemical sensitivities? One of the greatest things that we can be allergic to is dairy. We're back to the dairy again. And especially for those of you that were not bottle fed. You didn't have an opportunity, breastfed rather. You did not have that opportunity to build a good, strong immune system in the first place. So you are much more prone to allergies and chemical sensitivities. Again, listen to the body. How about bags under the eyes? Kidney, bladder infections. Kidney and bladder infections are what brought me into the business. So I do know a little bit about that. They were something that I lived with for 30 plus years of my life. And it was like a miracle when I found things in the herbal kingdom that helped me overcome that situation. Bags under the eyes are generally related again to kidneys. And I found out that when you're working with a person that has a problem with kidneys, you must work with the bladder. If there's a problem with the bladder, you must work with the kidneys as well. They are sister organs. They work together, and when they stop working, they stop working together. So work both with them. How about smoking? Do I need to spend 20 minutes telling you about the evils of smoke? No, I don't. I'm not even going to bother. People know that they need to stop smoking. I'm not going to give you a non-smoking lecture, but what I'm going to say is this. When you smoke, it affects your digestion, it affects your nervous system, it affects your respiratory system. Major players in keeping well. So, know this, that when you decide that you're no longer going to puff and bring that fire into your chest, your changes will start to happen within 24 hours. Every time you smoke a cigarette, I've been told that you lose up 25 to 50 milligrams of your vitamin C. And if you just take the time to look up what vitamin C does as an antioxidant for your body, maybe that will encourage you. But to smoke or not to smoke. I was a smoker for many years, and my cigarettes were my best friend. They really were. They wanted to be bothered with me when nobody else did. But I finally decided that if something doesn't like me, why in the world would I be liking it? And why would I pay for it to bring the dread and trouble into my life that cigarettes ultimately would have brought had I stayed with them? So find a reason. Find a reason to say, I'm better than that. I'm more important than a cigarette. And I think you might find that you're motivated enough to not just quit again, but stop. Stop completely. And don't try this weaning off. That's not always the best way to go. Sometimes you just got to kick them to the curb. So that's enough about smoking. How about poor concentration or memory? So many people are having this problem now where they're not being able to stay focused. Their concentration level wavers back and forth from one to the next. So this is something, again, when the concentration gets bad and the memory gets bad, everybody immediately thinks I'm getting dementia or Alzheimer's. That's not necessarily the case. It could be something going on in your intestinal system. It could be something going on in your circulatory system. It could be going on in your nervous system. And it certainly could be a glandular situation. So examine those things before we're so quick to say that we're getting a new disease, okay? How about poor resistance to disease? Some people's immune system is so compromised until, like we said before, every wind that comes by, it seems to stop at their house. But you have to figure that out. Is your resistance poor? Going back again to that immune system. Get it built up, and there's many things that can happen to help that. Number 15, belching or burping after meals. My goodness, my goodness. I was told once that when you belch after you eat, it's time to stop eating. I thought that was very interesting. But I hear people belch and very loudly and keep on eating because most people ignore the signals to stop eating. And we do have a chemical, I think it's called ghrelin, that tells us, leptin, I think, tells us when we're hungry, and ghrelin tells us that we're not necessarily full, but we're satisfied enough to stop eating. So if I've got that wrong, somebody help me out. But I think one is leptin, one is ghrelin. And I tell you, they are messengers. Now, and again, if you're belching and burping after meals, it's affecting, of course, digestion. That's the number one thing that is affected by belching and burping, and bloating, now might I add. Now, do you wake up in the morning tired? If you do, it affects your digestion, your intestinal system, your circulatory system, your nervous system, and of course your glandular system. So the way we don't wake up tired is we have a plan for going to sleep. We don't have food 2 to 3 hours or water before we go to bed. We do attempt to go to bed 2 hours before midnight. We do have a set time when we're going to get in that bed and begin the process of rejuvenating that body. And we're not going to put all these electric things in our rooms and have all these lights going off all the time while we're trying to rest. And if you have them in there and you can't change it, get you a sleep mask, because the darker the room, the easier for your melatonin to be released into your system and you start to begin the rest. It's a process. You wake up in the morning calm, and then throughout the day you relax. And then you decide that you're going to go to bed, and you go to sleep. And during that sleep, you get that REM level sleep where you hit that cycle where your body is in total rest, almost like a sleeping dead. And now, guess what? In that rest cycle, that's when the healing starts to take place. That bloodless surgery takes place during the night. And guess what? Now, you're going to wake up in the morning, and instead of saying, oh, God, it's morning, you're going to say, thank God it's morning. Another day that God has made for you to rejoice in every aspect of it. So now, we have covered 16, and I'm going to go back very quickly because I don't think I addressed all of the areas that it affects. So number 1, going back, general weakness, tiredness, and fatigue affect digestion, circulatory, nervous, immune, and glandular system. Frequent illness affects all of them, but they really emphasize the immune system as the trigger. Body odor affects the digestion, the intestinal, the respiratory, and the urinary. Difficulty digesting food affects your digestion and, of course, your immune system, and I might add your elimination as well. Frequent consumption of red meat, intestinal system, circulatory system, and urinary system. PMS affects your intestinal system, urinary, and glandular. And frequent use of antibiotics affect the intestinal system, the immune system. alcohol consumption, the nervous system and the glandular system are the two dominant ones. The wheezing and coughing and mucus, digestion, intestinal, immune, respiratory. Food allergies affect our digestion, our immune, and our respiratory. The bags under the eyes are a trigger for the circulatory system, urinary, and the glandular. Smoking affects the digestion, the nervous system, the respiratory system. Poor concentration and memory, intestinal system, circulatory system, nervous system, and glandular. And of course, belching, burping after meals affects our immune system by way of our digestive system. So when we look at that belching and burping and all that can really interrupt our whole life. Do you wake up tired in the morning? Again, the question comes. We know how not to now, don't we? So what we're going to do is we're going to stop at this point and say that if you wake up tired in the morning, digestion is affected, intestinal system, which is your elimination, your circulatory system, your nervous system, and your glandular system. Now, the lifestyle analysis only picked out those, but I hazard to think that when you don't wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and rested, it affects everything in your life. Okay, so we're going to stop there for this time because I think that your concentration may be starting to waver a bit, and then we'll do part 2 when we come back. See you next time. Oh, and let me invite you all to my call. I have a Sunday night call every Sunday evening at 7 p.m., and it's Body, Soul, Spirit Ministry by simply dialing 1-515-604. I forgot my number. Hold on. Can you put it on pause so I can get that information? Can't pause it? Okay, we can't even erase it, can we? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can call 951-261-4080. That's my personal cell number, and I will be glad to give you the number to call in for my Sunday night service. And then I also, not service, I'm not a preacher yet. I'm in the pulpit yet? No, but it's a Sunday night time of sharing. And then, of course, we have our third Saturday here at the Body Workshop, and it's every third Saturday, and it's called Let's Just Talk. Okay, that's it for now. Bye-bye.